All right, how's it going, you guys? Welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul and the entire card. Well, not the entire card, just the main fights. So more specifically, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, and Mario Barrios, and I want to say Ramirez, but I don't remember his opponent's name. But let's get into it. So as you guys know, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul recently had a fight. This fight came with a lot of criticism, and I kind of feel like the criticism was justified because Jake Paul was stepping into the ring with the more than retired Mike Tyson at the age of 58. Let's just round it up to 60, right? And you know, a lot of people weren't very confident about the fight. They're not sure what Jake Paul wants to get out of boxing. I'm not sure if it's just a payday or if he wants to be taken seriously. No one really knows. But earlier on this year, the fight was set to happen in July, but Mike Tyson reportedly had stomach ulcers or some type of health condition, and that didn't help with the build up to the fight. A lot of people were protesting to have this fight postponed, but either way, the fight ended up happening. And let's go ahead and get into the fight. Let's start off with, let's get into the main event, and then we'll work backwards. Let's change it up this time around. So from what I saw, it seemed like a lot of people showed up. I felt like a lot of people were under the impression that Mike Tyson actually had a fighting chance, and I feel like those people were not being truthful, because this fight was never designed for Mike Tyson to win realistically. If anything, he only had a puncher's chance, and that's what we saw. So going into the fight from the first round, it looked like Mike Tyson had some disability, not necessarily disability, but something hindering him, because his legs weren't moving as well as they could, or as a boxer's legs should be moving around the ring. He seemed very stiff with his movement. He also had a knee brace on, so that probably added to some type of injury, or we don't know. It's just he looked very stiff. Granted, he's old, right? So the expectation should never have been that high. But the first round went by. I would say that Mike Tyson came out on the front foot, and that's what everyone expected. Realistically, the fight was going to end in two ways. People saw Jake Paul winning by knockout in the middle to later rounds, or if in an unrealistic situation, other people saw Mike Tyson winning in the early rounds and predicted Mike Tyson coming out with a lot of energy, and that's what he did for the first couple of rounds. I would say only the first two rounds realistically. They're 2-minute rounds. So Mike Tyson pressed the pressure, but Jake Paul just seemed to be sticking and moving. He also was connecting with some power punches, but it didn't really seem to hurt Mike Tyson, or I don't know. I'm not sure if it hurt Mike Tyson or if he just had a really strong poker face. But as a lot of people predicted, in the middle rounds, Mike Tyson started to taper off significantly. Like, his age really started to show. I'm not sure, because he's at the end he said he had a fixation to biting, and as you guys saw, he was biting onto his gloves regularly. I'm not sure if it was because of frustration, but the man himself said it's just his fixation for biting. I thought it was out of frustration, but it was a very sad fight to watch overall. Jake Paul in the post conference said that he was holding back and didn't want to knock out Mike Tyson. There's no telling if he's telling truth or not, because the guy sometimes is full of it. But at the same time, we can always respect him as a business person. He knows how to fill up seats. I'm not sure if he can sell pay-per-views, but he can fill up seats. And yeah, he put on an event. At the end of the day, they both got paid. Reportedly, Jake Paul made $40 million and Mike Tyson earned $20 million. So that was good to see, and I don't really have much more to talk about that fight other than moving forward with Jake Paul's career. People need to just be more realistic and not not buy into this narrative that he's fighting serious competition, when realistically it's retired fighters, not even boxers, just retired fighters in general. We can't take him that seriously in boxing until he actually fights ranked opponents. But on the other hand, if Jake Paul doesn't want to be taken seriously, if he wants to be in the boxing game just to sell fights, to make money and kind of stay in his own lane, I can respect that as well. But if he wants to be taken seriously, I just need to see him fighting for belts. That's what it comes down to. But yeah, that's that for that fight. The co-main event was pretty good as well. It was Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. Initially, Amanda Serrano was on the front foot and Katie Taylor was fighting on the back foot. I thought that Amanda Serrano did a good job walking her down early on. But the second fight, because then the first fight, I did think that Serrano was a little bit more dominant. But then this fight, despite Katie Taylor fighting on the back foot, she seemed to be catching Amanda Serrano more on the counters. Amanda Serrano she was walking into combinations. She was literally walking into a lot of the counters that Katie Taylor was setting up. But nonetheless, Amanda Serrano kept on walking her down. She was also connecting a lot of punches. I do think that somewhere in the middle rounds, she was hurting Katie Taylor, but they're going back and forth. It was close rounds, so no one could necessarily say it was a robbery. Like the first fight, that was a narrative that people were pushing out, that Amanda Serrano was robbed and that they should have, it was just a bad call. But this second fight, I think it was up until the middle. We'll get into that. But before the fight, it was designed to be a fair fight because they were 3-minute rounds. Not only were they 3-minute rounds, they fought 10 rounds. So 10 3-minute rounds. The previous fight, I believe, was 2-minute rounds, but this time around it was 3-minute rounds. And yeah, it was just I would say it was more fair in the sense that they have more time, so more time to convince the judge. But let's get back into the fight. In the middle rounds, there was a gnarly headbutt between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. It looked like it was accidental from the first time, and it opened up Amanda Serrano's right eyebrow, I believe. It was a big cut. It was gashing, and the doctor had to step in, but they allowed her to continue fighting. And I'll be honest, ever since that injury, I don't really think that Amanda Serrano could properly get back into the fight. Maybe because of adrenaline, she wasn't in pain. I don't know necessarily if she was in pain or not, but you can't deny that type of injury is gonna change the entire complexion of the fight. There's no telling how Amanda Serrano would have approached it if she could have avoided that injury. She was bleeding a lot, and blood is different than sweat. With sweat, you could just wipe it off your face, but with blood, it stains. It's not like you can just wipe it off of your face. And her cutmen and her corner weren't able to handle it that well, and I don't really hold that against them because it was a deep cut. And then later into the fight, Katie Taylor, it seemed like she was exploiting the cut. I don't know if that's legal or not, but she seemed to be coming in with her head and deliberately headbutting Amanda Serrano, and it was kind of frustrating to see her clinch and everything. But I think that was just part of her game plan, to fight on the back foot counter, and she did a really good job. And she also capitalized on the fact that Amanda Serrano was injured and her vision was limited. You can't hold that against Katie Taylor. At the end of the day, it's boxing. We've seen worse. When Tim Tszyu fought Sebastian Fundora, it seemed like initially Tim Tszyu was cruising and coasting until that elbow on his forehead, and he was just gushing out blood, and it just couldn't stop. These things happen in boxing, and you just got to keep on going. But respect to Katie Taylor, she defended her belts, and yeah, she got the W. There's a conversation about a third fight. I would definitely love to see a third fight, because despite Katie Taylor winning both fights, it's still a close fight. It's not like Katie Taylor in this situation won the fight convincingly. If we saw a third fight, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will still be interested in seeing it. I'm definitely interested in seeing it. And then the last fight was Mario Barrios versus, I don't know what his name was. It doesn't come to mind automatically, but a very close fight. At the beginning, Barrios seemed to be very dominant. He even dropped his opponent in like the third or fourth round. That was pretty good to see. Barrios was on the front foot, but he did seem to slow down in the later rounds. He was dropped in the later rounds, around round 7 or 8, somewhere around there. He dropped Barrios, and Barrios didn't seem like he could come back into the fight, but both fighters ended on a strong note, and the fight ended up being a draw. And Barrios defended, I guess technically retained his belt because he left the way he came, right? So that was a good fight. It'd be interesting to see what kind of fixtures they have ahead in the I believe welterweight division. I think 147 is welterweight. You can please correct me if I'm mistaken, but it's interesting to see what type of fights they have ahead. There's a Jaron Ennis Boots. There's a couple other fighters, but I'm hoping to see Boots eventually fight for some belts pretty soon. I don't know if does he have belts. He does. He has the IBF belt. Sorry, I take that back. Boots has the IBF belt at 147, but I'd like to see him go against Barrios for the WBC belt. Maybe go undisputed at 147, then move up to 154. There's more fights over there, but let's save that conversation for another video. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll stay tuned as well, because I'm also gonna upload a video pretty soon about UFC 309. John Jones is back. Miocic is there. And yeah, you guys look forward to that video. Thank you and have a good day. Bye bye.